Start us off, Janani, you want to just give a brief about yourself as a high school senior, what your interests are and where you're headed in 20 seconds or less, Janani?
Yes, hi, my name is Janani. I'm currently a senior at East Chapel High School in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I got accepted to Wake Forest as a major in biochemistry and molecular biology, and I'm planning to also add a dual major in music.
Thank you, Janani. Aditi?
Hello, my name's Aditi, and I'm a senior in high school from Lincolnshire, Illinois. I go to Stevenson High School, and I'm going to be an incoming freshman next year at Harvard University, and I'm interested in government, history, and I really enjoy writing in English as well.
Thank you. Sri, with the parent who's joined us, Sri, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Sri.
Yeah, hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Sri, and my son's name is Sudarshan, and he's actually joining Kelley School of Business at Indiana University, Bloomington for fall 2022.
Okay, great. So I have this set of questions. I'm not able to make sure that I can't see you all, but I hope that's just me not able to figure out if your videos are on. I cannot see.
I can see all four of.
Okay, great. Okay, that's great. As long as everyone is able to see everyone else. Oh, no, there you go. Okay, I've finally figured that out. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a few questions. Let me start with the first question. I'm going to have to hop over here for a little bit. Okay, so the first question is for Sri. As a parent, Sri, so let me just read out the question here. As a parent, given the stress surrounding college admissions, what tips do you have to offer for our audience today, and how they can?
I think it's a good question. I mean, probably people are going to go through what I went through probably in the last 1 or 2 years. So I think as I kind of think through that, I could think of a couple of things. Rajesh, maybe I'll just put one by one. I think first thing is to start early. I think like the 9th grade and all that. I remember as my son was obviously filling all the applications and things like that, that there is a lot of activity section where they ask you for your profile from your high school, which is I think 9th grade. So I think rather than putting pressure towards the end, I think it's good to start early around 9th grade. I think I can think of that as the first one. I think to me, the most important thing also is to get a good counselor. Actually, I think the counselor can make or break the whole thing, right? So in my mind, not two kids are of the same caliber, right? So some kids are good in some kids are not. So I think a good counselor who has the experience, number one. Number two, more importantly, who listens to the parent and the child in terms of what their strengths are and what is a comfort factor, where we need to focus on, and truly customizing the whole approach that is specific to that child, right? He or she, because I'm pretty convinced that I think one size does not fit, one size fit all approach doesn't work for sure, right? So I think to me, so how do you get that? It's all about a good counselor who customizes this whole framework based on the child's strengths, actually, right? So I think to me, I can tell you for my boy, we had some he was good, some he had to work on. So I think that really worked out a lot. So that's what I would think about, Rajesh.
Okay, thank you, Sri. I'll come back to you for the second question, but I'll turn it over to Aditi. Aditi, most essay prompts, appear to be kind of straightforward, and it talks about elaborating on one's extracurricular activities or experiences, work experiences. What, in your opinion, what specific plan do you have, or do you sort of are a proponent of? And using the education that how do you make the essays sort of stand out from the crowd in your opinion, Aditi?
Yeah, so I would definitely agree that the vast majority of questions were about extracurriculars and kind of just what you do. And I think it's really hard to stand out, but the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to honestly talk about more unconventional extracurriculars. So a lot of students hold leadership positions at school when they're like high achieving students. They might be in an honor society or might be on like an executive board for a club. But it's really important for these essays to kind of go beyond that and convey passion as opposed to explain your leadership positions. Because I think that if you are the type of person who went outside of school and did like an independent project, if you did something that no one else has done ever before, that makes you stand out because your extracurriculars are more unconventional. So not only like getting leadership experience at school is really important, but also going outside of school above and beyond to do individual things that make you stand out, that convey passion. And I also think that one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen a lot of students make on these types of questions is that they often brag a lot, just listing off awards that they've gotten in certain extracurriculars, but it's really important to talk about how extracurriculars have influenced you as a person and how they've allowed you to grow and develop skills, as opposed to maybe how many like awards you've won, or you don't want to sound like you're bragging. So it's really important to be humble, to convey passion, and most importantly, to do unconventional things that show that you care about what you're doing a lot.
Okay, great. Thank you, Aditi. We'll come back to you for the second question in a little bit. Janani, thanks for joining. I know you have an AP exam to take tomorrow. I appreciate you joining us. So thanks for that. So Janani, how did you balance the high school rigor, the extracurriculars that Aditi was just talking about, the hobbies and other interests that you have? I think you're a flute player besides other instruments, I'm sure, that I'm not aware of. But how do you go about that? How did you go about that, and what advice would you have for our audience and children who are looking to enter college in the next couple of years, Aditi?
I think for me also,
I'm sorry,
my
Janani.
experience. It's okay.
Sorry.
I think my experience in junior years definitely different from a lot of students who will be going through junior year in the next few years, just because mine was over COVID. So that meant a lot of my school stuff was at home. I will say that one of the most important things to do is to make sure you're taking as much as you think you can manage. Don't take more than what you think you can do, because if that happens, you end up putting too much time into your schoolwork instead of the things that you're passionate about, and you have less to talk about when you apply. Because a lot of the students who are applying to these colleges have taken a lot of challenging courses. So if that's all you've done, then it doesn't make you stand out as much. I think my recommendation is to put a lot of effort into which courses you're taking and make sure you're taking stuff that's challenging, but also making sure that you have a focus through high school, that you have something that you're focusing on. Maybe like if you're interested in space science or biology, that you're taking courses that cater to that, and that you're looking for opportunities that connect to those as well. And I think that's a good way to get extracurriculars that really contribute a lot to your college application when you need to apply in senior year. I think another helpful thing is also like looking around you and seeing what opportunities are available. For example, I ended up doing dual enrollment classes at the local community college in addition to school. And through that, I was able to get a lot of like certifications in programming as well, which helped also just develop my interest in computer science as well. And I think also helped build my resume as somebody who had a lot of skills beyond simply science. So I say when it comes to balancing your interests, what's important is, for one, looking at what interests you think suit you and what you think might contribute to what you can do in the long run.
Okay, I can see Aditi nodding as well, so she's in agreement. Anything you want to add there, Aditi? I don't want to put you on the spot, but anything you want to build off of what Janani said? Go ahead.
I just think it's really important that your extracurricular pursuits line up with your passions, because Especially like freshman year, I found myself doing extracurriculars that I didn't like, that I thought would just make me stand out. But it's really important to not do those types of things, because if it's not something you really enjoy, you're not going to get good at it. And there's no point pursuing something you don't enjoy. So what I've noticed is that when I started taking classes that are like involved with my interests, and I started doing extracurriculars that I truly loved, then honestly, the effort just comes naturally because you're spending your time doing something that you want to put your time into. For example, like instead of taking multiple honors math and physics classes in a single year, I took like history, English, literature, all honors classes. And that was something that really helped me balance my extracurriculars because it didn't really feel like as much work to me because those are all things that I enjoy. So just do things that are easy for you in the sense that they aren't really a struggle for you to do at home. For example, you don't want to sit through homework that you don't really enjoy for a subject. So take classes and extracurriculars that you like.
Thank you, Aditi. Thanks for that.
Yes, that's 100% true. And
I'm sorry, say it again.
also,
Go ahead.
I just want to say, yeah, that's 100% true. You need to make sure that you're enjoying the stuff you're doing, or that you're going down a path that you think that works for you the best versus what you think might look good.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for those great answers and for responding. Okay, back to you, Sri, as a parent. What are the most important factors concerning your child's college education? In your opinion, what are they? And can you talk to the audience about what factors were important to you as a parent?
Okay, so you're talking about the factors. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Very good. Okay, excellent. I think, I can think of a couple of things, to be honest. I think to me, I will probably lay out 3 or 4. To me, the first thing is the child's comfort, right? To me, it's very important. It's not just important getting an admission in an university or school, right? I think it's equally important that they are able to sustain the pace at which the university has to, you have to go through. So to me, the child comfort was important in terms of what they are comfortable with. I think second thing, certainly weather, location is the second factor. I looked at it because obviously, you have various weather patterns here and all that. So third thing, obviously for me, not for my son, but for me, financial thing was more important actually, so I wanted to make sure that, it's affordable and things like that. What else? I mean, I can think of a good college experience. I think when you really look at it, I really wanted him to have a good college experience because, you have a city life schools or you have a university town type of school. So, I mean, they give you a different set of experience. And I really wanted him to go through a good experience, right? So college experience, that's important. And obviously, finally, a good academic experience in terms of whichever path that they take, be it engineering, be it business. My son is doing business, but generally speaking, so to me, the academic experience. So, I mean, these are 4 or 5 things we looked at. And I think I'm glad he got into Kelley. So, so that's what I would say, Rajesh, so.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sri. That was useful. Aditi, as a specialist in essays and beyond other things that you're specialized, but the way we are associated, when and how does a child or a student start preparing for the essays? When does it really begin, Aditi?
Yeah, so the essay process is obviously one of the most stressful processes that people go through with college applications, but I think as long as you break it up and, just spend your time well instead of procrastinate, it's going to be okay. So personally, I think that it's best, and I did this, to start the summer before your senior year. I think that's the perfect time. It's not too early and not too late. You don't want to start too long after because you don't want to be rushing to submit by early deadlines, which are typically between October 15th and November 1st. But the thing is, I would really recommend not starting sooner than the summer before your senior year because, let's say you're a junior, even a sophomore in high school, and you're starting to think about college essay ideas. What do I want to write my Common App essay about? First of all, your writing skills aren't as developed as they are at the end of your junior year, but also you're going to be a different person a year from then. So I think it's really important to reflect on all your past experiences at that summer, at that time, going into senior year in order to think about the best things that you could write your essays about. And then for how to get started with it, it's really easy to start on the Common App because there's plenty of examples out there. And there's also, the prompts are typically the same every year. They barely change. And there's always the open prompt where you could literally write 650 words about anything. So the Common App essay is fairly simple to start on because there's no specific prompt. Just write about something that's meaningful to you. It doesn't have to be, anything that you went through. It doesn't have to be about like a tragedy that you suffered. It really can just be anything that shows off your personality and any growth that you've experienced. And also, I would recommend that you search up essay prompts from your top schools. A lot of the Ivy League schools especially don't change essay prompts between years typically. I know that Harvard, for example, has had the same essays for the past 7 or 8 admission cycles. So I personally got my Harvard essays done because I applied early there by, I would say, mid-September, and I started working on them over the summer. They were polished by mid-September. So really staying on top of that timeline is important. You can make a timeline for yourself too, that helps. And then the most important advice I have is that you need to give the process time. You will never, ever go with the first draft. So you can't sit down with a college essay 2 nights before the deadline because it will take revisions and it will take hard work, but that's exactly how it goes for everyone. And if you want your essays to be the best, then you need to give each one attention and time. And that's really doable, even if you have a long list, if you start in the summer.
Okay, thank you, Aditi. Just to ask you another question based on what you just said. In your opinion, if there were 2 prompts, one was a prompt that every student would it was quite of an easy prompt, another one was a little bit of an ambiguous prompt, which one would you have chosen?
I would pick the one that I think I have the best answer to. I don't think it matters what you think.
Okay.
Don't play mind games with yourself like, oh, I think most students will choose this prompt, so this one will make me stand out more. The prompt that you pick doesn't matter. It's about your answer. You can make yourself stand out no matter what. I think that whatever you have the strongest response to is what you should go with. So typically when I was in that situation, when colleges would ask me to pick between 2 prompts, the first thing I would do is consider, have I already written a strong essay about one of the 2? Then I would just tweak it, modify it to fit word counts and to fit the prompt specifically. But if I didn't, I would honestly answer both of them and see which answer resonated with me more, showed my personality and my passions more, and then start editing that one.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Great point. So, Janani, if there are 2 or more important tips that you'd like to give any of the rising juniors in preparation for their college admission season, right? What would they be, Janani?
I'd say first is don't burn yourself out. Make sure you're doing things that you enjoy and that you're passionate about, and that ultimately you're enjoying your high school experience. I think second is start to think a lot about what you want to do in university. It's fine if you don't know, it really is. But I think thinking about what you might want to do or which direction you might want to go down might give you more direction if you're not sure of what you might want to say or what you might want to do or where you want to apply. Next is start coming up with a list of colleges where you might want to apply to. And I think that's very helpful because a lot of these colleges look at demonstrated interest, or at the very least, if they know who you are or they're familiar with you, it helps you learn a lot more about the college and figure out if you want to go there. It also helps them know about you so that when you apply, they can see your application and recognize you. So I recommend reaching out to a lot of the people. Like oftentimes on the college website, they list who your admissions counselor is. I recommend reaching out to them and asking questions about the university. Find out if they offer any additional scholarships that you could apply for, if they have like an early decision rate for which you get more consideration. And make connections as well. So, if you know somebody who might be able to offer you an internship, like reach out to them and say, I really like what you're doing. Can I work with you? And try to get as much experience as you can if you have like an area of strong interest.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Janani, Aditi, and Sri for the valuable insights. We do have a few questions that have come up during the registration time. So I'm going to ask those questions, or I'm going to repeat those questions here for everybody's sake, and have I'll answer something from myself. I'll have Indrakala and Mari as well answer. The first question is, Mari, if you can answer this. So this is it worth to spend time and effort to write SAT, or the student can spend that time in some other project related activities? You want to answer that, Mari?
Sure, Rajesh. So yeah, again, like, yeah, it depends on which schools the student is planning to apply to, whether they are test optional and which programs they're applying to, are they considering scholarships? So all these factors play a role. So again, how the school is going to look at the scores, do they give more importance to it, or it's the other grades? All of it help you in the decision making. So yeah, based on that, you make the decision whether you want to spend effort on SAT or ACT.
Okay, thank you, Mari. The next question, and I'll try and answer it myself. Is it better to send a child to an academically average high school than an academically stronger high school instead of, or in lieu of, the UC's or in the light of UC's top 10% acceptance policy? I think it's sort of a myth and a fact, to be honest. Yeah, if you have to look at it from a point of view of, is the curriculum, the rigor of curriculum, as one of the other questions that Indrakala will answer. The rigor of the curriculum also matters. So you could be a 4.0 GPA in a high school that's not as well regarded as some, and maybe you have a 3.9 or 3.8 in a high school that has got a lot of rigor, or it's part of an international baccalaureate set of program which is really well regarded. So it really depends. So I don't think there's a straightforward answer to that. In that sense, so we'll have to evaluate based on the students' GPA over the high school years leading up to the admissions, and then look at it that way. So I don't think there is a straightforward answer to that, honestly. And also the admissions office has access to all of these high schools curriculum and programs, and where they stand in the rankings and all of that. So admissions officer has all of that at their disposal. So if you think about an average high school and a student is a valedictorian or a salutatorian, it may not be as well regarded as somewhere else, where the grades may be good to great, but they may not be exactly valedictorian in that particular school. But it won't matter, because the curriculum itself is can take care of that. I have Aditi kind of raising her hand. So Aditi, you want to add something to that, or to what I said?
Yeah, really quick. So my perspective was one from someone who went to a really academically rigorous and competitive high school.
Okay.
It's known as one of the top high schools in the country. And I honestly think that, obviously it's anyone's decision if they think that isn't the right environment for your child to go to. But I think that the opportunities that are provided at more rigorous high schools also kind of outweigh the fact that more kids are going to be qualified and more kids are going to stand out, because the extracurricular opportunities and the educational experiences that are available at more well-known, more excellent high schools are probably worth going to. I definitely think that while it was competitive, it definitely provided me with the opportunities to be where I am today.
Oh, thank you.
I'd also like to add on to what everybody has said.
Yes, go ahead.
I think academic rigor is not the only factor you should also look at when considering high schools. For example, there's other indications of how good a high school is, for example, like an achievement gap. So if there's a really wide achievement gap at a high school that you're going to, that might be indicative of other issues going on in the school as well. So there's a few other things to consider as well before making a decision as to where your child should go for school.
Okay, thank you so much. I mean, that's really great of both of you to sort of expand on that. I really appreciate that a lot. Okay, next question, Indrakala, if you'd like to take that on. So the question from the audience is, in selection process, what distinguishes from other applicants? I know we talked about a few things, but you know, if you want to talk about what distinguishes in this, you know, what distinguishing factors there might be in the selection process when applicants are or students are sort of evaluated in the college selection process. Indrakala?
Okay. Yeah. So Rajesh, I think we kind of covered it through the session as well as Aditi and Janani did answer some of it. Obviously, I think the GPA is definitely going to play the highest role in the selection criteria. Earlier, I know that, you know, with SAT and ACT, you know, going away from a lot of colleges, I think, though it is a conscious decision from the parents and the students' side to actually take SAT and ACT to kind of improve their chances, I think it needs to be a balanced profile. Apart from GPA, as Aditi and Janani rightly said, right? I mean, following their passions and kind of creating initiatives or programs which can talk for you in your essays, right? Where your passion has been turned into programs which you have pursued and which is actually in line with the career or the academic aspirations that you have. So that is actually going to make your essays or application essays look more genuine. So I think it needs to be considered case to case. In irrespective of whether the child has a counselor or not, I think parents also need to take that conscious decision of kind of making sure that the student, apart from focusing on the GPA, the extracurricular, the sports or the other activities that he or she does is in line with her passion and also the aspirations what he or she has to pursue in life, so that it looks very genuine with the essays. So I would say, yeah, we need to go case to case here, but still.
Okay, thank you, Indrakala. And if I may add on that, I mean, each college has sort of a different, you know, sort of factors that weigh a lot more than the others, right? So long before we all heard the term test optional, the test scores were not as much regarded in the University of Chicago way back, right? As a private college, as a top private college. It's another factor that the students who get in and their SAT and ACT scores are really on the higher side, but from a college admission standpoint, it wasn't regarded as the most important factor or even the important factor. Similarly, you know, there have been other colleges which have demonstrated interest, right? How do you demonstrate the interest of a particular college? There have been colleges that emphasize that. COVID has changed some of those. But yeah, there are many different factors, both on the academic side and the non-academic side that go into what this applicant has to do in order to get in, right? So I see Aditi and Janani wanting to say something. So let's start with Aditi because she was the first one I think I saw raise the hand. So I'll go with Aditi and then Janani. Aditi?
Yeah, so I have a really quick interjection about that. So I think that one of the most overlooked factors that does make someone stand out is actually letters of recommendation. People just think that, oh, I just asked my favorite teachers, but colleges want people who are good characters, and the way that colleges get insight into your character is when a teacher's writing a letter about how you've been in class, how you've helped other people, how you've showed leadership in class and contributed to class discussions. And that's something that as a student, I can't see, I can't review, and I can't change. So it's honestly an honest take about the student's behavior. So colleges do weigh letters of recommendation from what I've seen a lot. I do know that especially top tier colleges, they do rate character on a scale of 1 through 5 typically, and 1 being the best. And they do in fact consider rec letters as the #1 indicator of character, and character is one of the biggest factors.
Thank you. Janani?
Yes, and adding on to letters of recommendation as well, you'll also be getting a letter of recommendation from your counselor. And especially if you go to like a larger public high school, it's a very good idea to reach out to your counselor and get to know them early, so that when they talk about you, they can say stuff about you that's not like a generic template, blank name did blank sort of thing. And also like reach out to the colleges as well. I know I said this before, but it really is important because it really does let them know who you are and makes them familiar with you when they see your application. And also on the question of GPA as well,
As you know,
Mhm.
there's like the weighted GPA and there's the unweighted GPA. And I think sometimes students might get a bit nervous to take more challenging courses out of the fear that, if you don't get an A, it'll lower your GPA. To which I say colleges like to see if you're challenging yourself as well. So say if you have like a really strong passion for like physics, try to take an AP physics class. It's okay if you don't get an A because it shows that you're trying and you're challenging yourself and that you want to do well in the subject you're passionate about.
Yeah, on that note, all the best for your AP exam tomorrow. That's all we have time for today. I really appreciate Aditi, Janani, Sri, and my co-hosts, Mari, Indrakala, and Nanda for joining and making this a very exciting event. And the panel questions, the questions and answers you guys have given Aditi, Sri, and Janani were just great. Thank you again so much. It's been a pleasure hosting you all, and thanks to the audience as well for joining us from across the Americas. Appreciate you joining in and spending time with us. We hope to talk to you